And so they, of course, know tons of information they can't tell us. That's just the truth. It's obvious.
So what we do know so far, or at least what has been released, is excuse me, 22 years old. He was seen on 2 separate occasions. Early in the morning, video footage obtained by TMZ showed him early in the morning with a t-shirt on, shorts, and a backpack walking towards the university. I think it was around 8:30 in the morning. And then again around 11:30, close to noon, which is when, just moments before the assassination happened, where he is wearing the clothes that the law enforcement had identified with him, that we saw images of him with, the long sleeve shirt and the pants with the Converse and the hat. And he's limping along on his way towards the university. Now, a lot of people are speculating that he was limping because he had the firearm somehow strapped onto him and like maybe down the leg of his pants a little bit. And that's why he's like gimping along, because he basically has like a splint on his leg. That was seen. That's video evidence that we've seen beforehand. And then we have additional video evidence of him leaving. And the belief is that possibly they're working through the theory that he dropped the firearm from the roof. In addition to that, there has been a ton of digital forensic evidence that has been obtained because he was in a relationship with what was initially identified as his roommate. They were in a romantic relationship. He was transitioning from male to female. And there has also been reports that both Bongino and, well, especially Bongino, and I think Patel, have alluded to additional investigations. So investigating outside of Robinson and looking at his circle of friends, because he was on Discord chats, and the Washington Free Beacon actually obtained some screenshots of a lot of these discussions that were happening in the group chat. They're going to play on the screen here. But like, for example, one is talking, all of these chats are kind of insinuating that they had information of the assassination beforehand. Like it would be funny if someone like Charlie Kirk got shot on September 10th, LMAO. In that same tweet had mentioned that like I think it mentioned Donald J. Trump. I think it was like December 14th. If I'm not mistaken, they're insinuating, they're referencing the second assassination attempt on Trump. Charlie Kirk is coming to my college tomorrow. I really hope someone evaporates him literally. Let's just say something big will happen. So within these chats that are overlapping, some of them, or they're looking to see if they overlap with Robinson's circle, they're speculating that people knew. Like, for example, this one says, "We effing did it," with a picture of Charlie Kirk. Now, the question is, did they know beforehand? And did they help set the situation, to help Robinson, with planning the assassination?
Right.
Or was he telling them and they thought it was a joke? Or, you know what I mean? Like, they're trying to find the intent of it. But there is concerns that possibly there were a group of people that knew ahead of time and said nothing.
I feel very confident. And I don't know I've spoke with someone who knows much more than I do. Let's leave it at that. I feel confident that there's other people involved. Does that mean he was planning it? Well, okay. From a complete outsider's point, like if you just handed me those Discord communications, well, yes, it sounds like all of them were planning it. Like this was something that they all were like, yeah, we'll work together.
I should just to correct you real quick. I need to double check. I'm not sure that those were all Discord communications. Some of them were actually on social media, because there was an Instagram page that was called Armed Queers of Utah or something along those lines. And I think a lot of those images that I just shared came from there, in addition to other chats. And that particular, but regardless, there were conversations that were happening.
Yeah, my question would be then, we're in a really interesting territory here, because even if they don't find conclusive evidence that he was working with another person or with more people, how do you handle all those people that had foreknowledge and did nothing? They didn't tell anybody. That's complicit. So how is that handled? And how would that not be some kind of conspiracy to hurt someone else to commit an act of violence if you knew. You had to have been involved if you knew about it and you're talking about it and you're actually saying the date and talking about the school and saying Charlie Kirk's going to be dead. It's not a threat, it's a promise. Well, that's you being involved, is it not? Or I mean,
I mean,
that's a
I'm
whole
not.
legal question, obviously.
Yeah, that's a legal question, and my legal background doesn't go that deep, because there's questions of aiding and abetting, but then
Mhm.
there's, before the fact and after the fact, but then there's certain parameters that would have to be set, like,
Right.
is this just them thinking he's joking? Are they taking him serious? I think there can be an argument because obviously you are part of a group whose entire, I wish I should have pulled this, but there was like a mission statement within the forum of that group. And the
Mhm.
mission statement specifically was about revolution, about activism, about arming up and taking like kinetic action in the defense
Yeah.
of queers in Utah.
But
Um,
those communications didn't seem like, "Oh, we're gonna joke about it, but no one's really serious." Those
yeah, I don't think
communications
so.
told me, yeah, I know. Those communications told me, "Y'all have sat around over, like,
Chatting about
drinks
it.
and decided the day." Like, you weren't just saying, "Oh, I hope it happens." You were like, "Here's where it's gonna happen and on what day," and that's a promise. That requires foreknowledge and also the societal implications for that. I mean, we've had a really hard time reeling while watching so many people in our society be totally fine with that. That's hard enough to kind of digest and
It's been really hard. I'm going to be
right. And to
honest.
now know that there's also not just groups of people that are fine with it and celebrating it, but there's also groups like online dark spaces that are like planning things like this. It's just another layer of societal decay. It's really
Yeah.
sad to think about.
Well, and it's like kind of the
Frightening,
horseshoe
actually.
theory because, like, right now there's a big debate of like, oh, he was a leftist or he was like super ultra far right, which is kind of where
Uh-huh.
the discussion online is happening. I will
Yeah.
say, like, official primary sources such as the governor of Utah, FBI director, all of the news publications, the
Mhm.
family itself has said that
Yeah.
he has identified with leftist ideologies and become
Yeah.
more politically active. Also, I just want to point out that he is in a relationship with a man that's transitioning, so
Mhm.
that's not
And there
exactly
also has been
ultra
people,
far right.
yeah, have been
But
talking about like his involvement with I just can't even believe we're talking about this. With like the furry demographic.
yeah,
am I
that
gathering
is his
that?
partner specifically. So,
Okay.
which is the roommate that is, or partner, roommate, whatever, that is currently cooperating with law
With the
enforcement.
yeah.
Yeah. And they have also been they're saying he is cooperating. He's being very cooperative. We want him to cooperate.
But Tyler
What I
Robinson isn't being cooperative is what I'm
No, he is
gathering.
not cooperating at all. In fact, I believe he is being arraigned today. Like, he's being
Today.
officially charged today,
Yeah. Mhm.
Tuesday. My question is, you can be very cooperative. And they're also saying that he was surprised that this happened and he had no idea it happened. The investigation will determine that. We can't
Yeah.
take this man's word for it. In addition, there has also been a lot of questions about the suspect people that the New York Post reported that a neighbor mentioned were appearing at the apartment the weeks before. It could be two things. Could it be some of these people that were in these chats? Possibly. That is what they're investigating. Could
Mhm.
it be just, I don't know, normal circle of friends? And considering that the circle that they ran in, if you are a normal, average person that lives in rural Utah and are conservative, they're going to look a little weird.
Mm.
And if they're students, if they were students that happen to be from a nearby university, it is not completely out of the realm of them having out of plate license plates. It's possible that they came from another state, they brought their car with
Yep.
them, they're a student, that is why they have an out of state license plate.
Mhm.
That is probably the most logical explanation I can give you. Doesn't mean that also it's not a possibility that maybe the individuals that were in this chat group or in this, this, what was it again? Armed Queers for Utah group were friends of theirs. Maybe they were coordinating, and maybe they were students that were from out of state, and that's why their plates. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like either
Yeah.
one of these are a possibility.
Mhm.
And we are not going to know because, like I said earlier, that is information that it would be irresponsible for law enforcement to share with us if they don't have anything definitive,
Mhm.
because it could affect the case as they're building
Yep.
and prosecuting the case later. So,
Yep.
that's, I think, most of the questions that were revolved around the the assassination. It's like because a lot of these questions were coming up because the theories were being shared by people and by creators that were seen to be supportive of Charlie Kirk and the administration. And so it really seems like if they're asking these questions, it's kind of like a red flag to be like something you're really suspicious of versus like somebody on the left, if they're just kind of like throwing ideas out there, it's a little bit more easy to
Yeah.
dismiss because they'll have an ulterior motive. And there's been plenty of ideas that have been coming out from the left. They're really pushing into like maybe this guy was like ultra far right. And I think right now there is almost like a unwillingness from people who lean to the left or Democrats to acknowledge that there is a rise of violence on the left. And to me, what I'm seeing so far, especially in this instance, is very similar to what you would see from the far right corners, especially back in the early 2000s, um, and late 90s, where they were like on obscure online forums coordinating together and getting each other worked up and then organizing. To me, these two things are very similar because when you get
Mhm.
into that really toxic mindset, that stuff starts to horseshoe and they start to
Yeah.
mirror each other. Their
Yeah.
motives are different, but much of the way they do things are very similar.
Yeah.
And I just think people on their left are having a hard time coming to terms with, the voices coming from the inside, especially
Yeah.
because they've been placating it for so long.